But truth is, I cannot accept love because I am a broken man. I'm more broken than a total car without the help of a tow truck.
The Manatee County Sheriff's Office says the suspect was on his way to hurt more people in Georgia before getting into a shootout.
I asked the Lord to remold me, rebuild me, reaccept me. But the Lord told me he had to have a conversation with the devil before approval.
He walked into that hotel room, looked at the mother and said, "I'm sorry." She asked, "What did you do?" And he shoots her 3 times.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Society laughed at me. Society joked about me. So when I walk this earth, I'm laughed at. Laughed at from the deaf, from the blind, from the weak and the broken.
Disturbing social media posts from the man deputies accused of killing his mother, cousin, and another woman Monday night.
He knew exactly who he wanted to kill, and he did not have a hard time locating them.
Just please accept me for who I am.
This episode contains mature themes, including topics of obsession, betrayal, and violent acts, which some viewers may find distressing. Viewers' discretion is strongly advised. They say there's a calm before every storm, a moment of stillness right before all chaos is unleashed. On the evening of June 25th, 2024, in the quiet streets of Bradenton, Florida, that calm came and went without warning. 3 women, each tied to the same man, would not live to see another sunrise. What makes a son turn on his own mother? What drives a man to pull the trigger on the very people who trust him most? Within 2 short hours, 28-year-old Javonte Bryce would shock an entire community, leaving a trail of heartbreak and questions no one can easily answer. In the hours leading up to the carnage, eerie social media updates hinted at a troubled mind.
Disturbing social media posts from the man deputies accused of killing his mother, cousin, and another woman Monday night.
He knew exactly who he wanted to kill, and he did not have a hard time locating them.
And once the first shot rang out, the spree continued relentlessly until the final confrontation at the Florida-Georgia line. Welcome to Crime of Passion. I thank you, my viewers, most especially my subscribers, for your support as we keep improving and bringing daily told and untold true crime of passion stories updates. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. To understand how this all began, we first need to look at who 28-year-old Javonte Bryce was and why those who knew him believed he was on the brink of something dark long before that fateful night. Born on January the 15th, 1995, in Florida, Javonte was raised by his mother, 48-year-old Titamisha Scott, in a large family. He seemed to be your typical active young man, excelled in sports like football and track during high school at King's Senior High in Tampa. After graduation, he attended Minnesota State University and later Savannah State University, where he continued to run track and enjoyed dorm life. People described him as outgoing, fun-loving, always quick to share a laugh or a motivational quote. By the age of 21, though, he'd become a father, eventually fathering a total of 12 children with different women.
The butterfly, that's old. Let me see the tipsy rose. Yeah.
Loved ones on social media remember how proud he appeared, posting pictures and videos with his kids, calling them his prince and princess. Yet behind those smiles, something else brewed beneath the surface. He wrote poems about heartbreak, mental anguish, and feeling too far gone to be loved.
I remember waking up just to drown in my own sorrow. I remember waking up just to pretend a beautiful smile. I remember trying to plant my pain in the ground. Of course I failed. I remember looking in the mirror and drawing up a graveyard with my heart as the tombstone. I remember trying to slit my wrist without a blade. I remember trying to blow my brains out without a bullet inside of a chamber. I remember standing outside during a hurricane shirtless. I remember swimming in the middle of the ocean without a life vest. I'm still here living. I'm still here living. No, I'm not suicidal. I'm just suicidal of what I've been through. I remember searching for love, but I came across neglect and hate. I remember confessing my love to a woman I once saved, and she stabbed me with the same utensil I paid for us. I remember family and friends laughing at me because I told the truth, how I'm trapped inside a maze and how broken I am of a man, but I'm still struggling for success. I remember when I felt the world was against me until God told me to lift my head up. And that success is on the way. Just keep the faith in Him. Now I remember everything, and I use that as motivation. Thank you to society. I remember.
Now, I know you might be thinking, having children and juggling relationships isn't necessarily a sign someone is dangerous. But in Javonte's case, family members believed he was fighting a deeper battle. He'd been placed on medication for mental health issues. He'd been arrested for domestic abuse, and rumor had it, he was hiding a part of himself, possibly living on the down low. Was he truly gay or bisexual? Did that drive him to fear exposure so strongly he'd lash out? No one can say with absolute certainty, but many close to him suspected that secret weighed heavily on him. In the months leading up to June 25th, tensions escalated. Earlier in 2024, Javonte's mother, Titimisha, took her 2 young daughters and boyfriend to stay in a local Motel 6. She was giving her son space. His mental health had reached a point where living under the same roof felt impossible. On social media, friends noticed ominous posts from Javonte. He wrote about heartbreak, being broken, and posted videos with his daughters saying, "I may be broken, but I'll never break your hearts. I love you so much." No one realized these online messages foreshadowed a violent rampage. Even those who had known him for years couldn't picture him turning a gun on his own family. On June 25th, 2024, around 9 p.m., the Manatee County Sheriff's Office received a 911 call from the Palomino Trace apartments in Palmetto. The caller reported a man had threatened a resident with a firearm. By the time deputies arrived, the suspect was gone. But the story they gathered was chilling. According to his sister, who lived there, Javonte walked straight in.
Inside one of those apartments was his sister and a mother of one of the many children that Mr. Bryce has. When he walked into the apartment, he looked at the ex-girlfriend and said, "I have to kill you." Somehow, the sister was able to talk him down and talk him out of him shooting this ex-girlfriend.
He left without pulling the trigger. But this was only the beginning. Barely 17 minutes later, at 9:17 p.m., police believe Javonte arrived at the Motel 6 in East Bradenton, where his mother had been staying with her boyfriend and 2 youngest daughters. Javonte enters the motel room. He looks at his mother.
Looked at the mother and said, "I'm sorry." She asked, "What did you do?"
Before she can get answers, he raises a gun and fires 3 shots.
And he shoots her 3 times in front of the boyfriend and these 2 innocent young juveniles.
Titimisha never stood a chance. She died at the scene. In that moment, the closeness they once shared as mother and son was replaced by irreparable horror. Investigators later found that immediately after shooting his mother, Javonte posted a one-word Facebook status: "Love!" Heart emoji. It's hard to imagine the state of mind required to log onto social media within minutes of killing your own mother. But that's exactly what he did. And heartbreakingly, that was far from the last time he would reach for his phone during this rampage. Not even half an hour later, around 9:30 p.m., a second shooting took place on the 900 block of 26th Street East in Palmetto. This time, the victim was 29-year-old Sequoia Starquez, Bryce, his blood cousin, and possibly, as some rumors suggest, his secret lover. She was outside her apartment, ready to drive away after a casual gathering. Then Chavonte showed up.
One of his cousins was at a cookout at this residence. She's starting to get into her vehicle to leave. He then shoots her at that location.
Hopped back into his own vehicle and disappeared into the night. Sequoia was rushed to a nearby hospital, but she succumbed to her wounds within an hour.
She later dies about an hour after this shooting at a local hospital.
Moments after her shooting, Chavonte posted again. "I love you, bae Quoia Bryce. See you in hell." Those words rattled everyone who read them. Family members soon told police they believed the two had been engaging in a secret affair. And if she threatened to reveal his down-low relationships, that might have been the tipping point. Did fear of exposure drive him to pull the trigger? Investigators still can't definitively say. What's undeniable is that Sequoia left behind 2 young children. Their father was already deceased, so now these kids have lost both parents. It's a tragedy that still haunts Bradenton. As if 2 deaths weren't enough, the spree continued. At about 10:04 p.m., just over a half hour after Sequoia was shot, dispatchers received yet another frantic call. This time from a location on the 4,800 block of 51st Street East in Bradenton.
Bryce's next deadly stop, his ex-girlfriend and co-parents' home on 51st Street.
Inside that home was 31-year-old Cheryl Carter, another ex-girlfriend of Chavonte's. People close to her fondly called her Pig. She lived there with a new partner and was known in the neighborhood as a caring mother who adored her children. By the time officers arrived, Cheryl was dead. She had been shot and left to die on her own doorstep. In a chilling echo of his earlier pattern, Chavonte posted on Facebook, "Pig, I love you, but you had to go." At this stage, we have 3 different crime scenes connected by one suspect. A 28-year-old father of 12 who seemed set on eliminating anyone he believed was in his way or knew about his hidden life. The entire community went on high alert as the Manatee County Sheriff's Office tried to piece together his whereabouts. Relatives warned that he was likely heading north to Georgia, where another ex-girlfriend lived. They feared she would be next on his list.
Bryce left the motel and went to a home in Palmetto and killed a young woman who was his cousin. And after that, he went back to Bradenton and killed a woman at his ex-girlfriend's house. All 3 murders happened in less than an hour. Deputies learned Bryce could have been heading to Georgia to kill another ex-girlfriend, so they put out a statewide alert.
Law enforcement across Florida received a statewide alert, or BOLO, be on the lookout. The clock was ticking. If they didn't stop him soon, a 4th life could be lost. At about 1:30 a.m., nearly 4 hours after the spree began, sheriff's deputies in Hamilton County spotted his car at an Exxon parking lot in Jasper near the Florida-Georgia border.
Hamilton County deputies spotted Bryce's car at about 1:30 this morning on I-75. They followed him to the Exxon gas station off exit 451. They say he got out of his car and started shooting at them. Deputies fired back and killed him. No deputies were hurt. A woman was in the car with Bryce. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office says she was not hurt and is not facing charges. The Manatee County Sheriff says right now investigators don't know why Bryce would have done all of this.
What drove this man to murder those closest to him? Authorities and loved ones offered various theories, 1. He may have been on the down low, afraid that his cousin or his ex-girlfriends might tell the world about his secret relationships with men. 2. Court records revealed a repeated history of domestic violence and mental health crises. He had been Baker-acted, involuntarily placed under mental health observation, and was under a wrist protection order that once stripped him of his firearms until it expired. Family members said he refused to stay on his prescribed medication. 3. Everyone he targeted was either a direct threat to his self-image or had abandoned him in some way, like his mother, who'd moved into a motel, or girlfriends who cut him off from seeing his children until he stabilized. Could all three explanations be true at once? Possibly. The answer may never be fully known. The real impact of these murders goes far beyond the headlines. Each woman left behind children. Children who, in some cases, also lost their father previously, or have now lost both parents. Friends, siblings, grandparents, entire families are reeling from trauma that descended in one night. Sheriff Rick Wells of Manatee County offered condolences, emphasizing the need to support the grieving relatives and to uncover more about the lead-up to the shootings. Investigators also scoured Facebook posts, text messages, and earlier police reports to determine if there were missed warning signs or if someone could have intervened. This begs the question: are we doing enough as a society to help those battling mental illness before they reach a breaking point? And what do we do if a loved one hints they might be hiding something they feel is unforgivable? Should there be stronger systems in place to prevent individuals with known violent tendencies from accessing guns? Let me know your thoughts below. Mental health concerns aren't always visible to the outside world, but in some situations, like Javonte's, there were red flags, past domestic violence incidents, Facebook posts about harming himself or others, family members noticing his erratic behavior. Yet, the line between being supportive and being safe can be hard to walk. Sometimes, those close to the person simply don't have the resources or the legal power to intervene before it's too late. If fear of being outed for his sexuality was the ultimate motive, it highlights a deeper tragedy. The stigma that can drive someone to the worst extremes if they feel cornered or judged. But it's also crucial not to blame everything on one possible reason. Often, there's a mix of mental instability, fear, anger, and the availability of a weapon. A deadly combination. Experts in domestic violence prevention stress the importance of speaking up if you notice alarming behavior, erratic Facebook posts, sudden aggression, or repeated threats. It might feel awkward to intervene, but it could save lives. Nobody wants to believe a friend or family member could be capable of killing their own mother, cousin, or partner. Unfortunately, as we see in this case, it can happen. And so we end this tragic story. 3 women, Titamisha Scott, Cheryl Carter, and Sequoia Bryce, lost their lives, all at the hands of someone who was supposed to protect them. A son, an ex-boyfriend, a cousin. Countless children are left motherless, grieving grandparents are left childless, and the community still searches for answers. Yet we're left with the same haunting question. What truly caused a man who once shared poems about love and hope to snap so violently? If you've made it this far, I encourage you to reflect on the importance of communication, mental health support, and staying vigilant. If something feels off, don't hesitate to reach out, whether it's seeking help for yourself or warning authorities about someone you fear may do harm. Thank you for joining me on Crime of Passion. This has been a deeply unsettling case. My heart goes out to every family member and friend affected by the nightmare that unfolded on June 25th, 2024. The best we can do is learn from it, mourn those we've lost, and strive to prevent tragedies like this from happening again. Stay aware, stay safe, and remember, in the blink of an eye, the people we trust can become strangers we fear. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.